find me an SDR who loves prospecting. They love doing a ton of research on accounts. Like maybe you'll find one, but they probably love it because of the results they get, not the task itself. So like in the future, tools like Apollo will completely eliminate or almost entirely eliminate the task of prospecting.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Revenue Reimagined podcast. We are stoked to have Dan Cmejla here with us. He is the VP of Community at Apollo. And what does that mean? That is all things field marketing, customer marketing, social media marketing, evangelism, PR, and community. He also was the former VP of Brand and Community at the small little company you might know about called Chili Piper, where he was super instrumental in helping the growth that we've all seen for them. And a friend of the show. Man, thanks for being here.
It's an absolute pleasure and honor to be here, and I can't wait to chat.
Awesome.
That's because of me, Dale, not because of you, just to be
Yeah. Hey, I'm getting to know Dan, so this is great. So first question, it's time to reimagine your role in revenue. You can't be in marketing anymore. You got to head up a different part of the go-to-market function. What function and why?
Ooh, good question. I'm glad I didn't prepare in advance for these, so they're truly a cop. I want to add a caveat here that I'll say my answer, but it's not like I'm trying to claim this role at Apollo anything, because the partnerships team at Apollo is incredible. It's run by incredible SVP of partnerships and revenue operations, Reimagined, and then the team itself is run by Jennifer Rima. But I do think there's a lot in common between partnerships and community and partnerships and marketing. So I would probably go into the partnership side and then just keep doing the same stuff, but from a partnerships perspective. And I'd have to watch on the sideline as social media and things unfurled. But partnerships,
Yeah,
I'm going with
100%.
partnerships for 500.
Awesome.
Partnerships is a unique one. And I think a lot of people don't emphasize the power of partnerships and also other areas that you oversee, such as brand, social, community enough. And a lot of what we're hearing and seeing now in LinkedIn, outside of LinkedIn, is kind of this near-bound partnerships, go-to-network type method, if you will. And I don't think that's been any more apparent than the way Apollo has activated their social community, right? Like I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't see someone posting and raving about Apollo. So talk to me a little bit about how partnerships helps with what you're doing on that kind of social and evangelism side, and how you guys have been able to arguably be the leader in that space, right? Like I think your LinkedIn, if I'm not mistaken, says something, and I'm trying to pull it up while we talk here, about the most loved sales technology on planet Earth or something like that. Like that didn't come out of nowhere, right?
So that's a really good question. You know, in the past, I worked in politics, and I managed groups of volunteers. And there's a saying in politics that is also one in sales, where it's meet people where they're at, right? Because advocacy can take so many different forms, right? And for me, advocacy isn't about, hey, you're an advocate, we're going to place you in this box. But it's about uniquely meeting people where they are and empowering them to be themselves. And ideally, what they want to say is at the intersection of what Apollo wants them to say, right? So we'll try and find that balance there by supporting them. Part of the reason it's so great for partnerships is one of the incredible things that Jennifer and Jessica and Henry have done is they built this amazing affiliate program where people can refer Apollo and get revenue. You know, a lot of companies do this. HubSpot has an incredible one. You'll get 20% of the lifetime customer value of anyone you refer.
I know people
HubSpot
who make a lot of money slinging Apollo.
Yeah. So it's like, that's part of the reason Apollo is so great. It's like, we're never going to ask anyone to post on our behalf and give them money for it. In fact, we're actually doing an ad, because this thing has come up recently where people are like, I love Apollo. Everyone's like, this is an ad. So we're actually going to reach out to those advocates and do an ad with them about how the previous thing wasn't an ad, which is pretty funny. I'm excited for that. But the idea is that like partnerships is an excellent mechanism to bring about employee evangelism, executive evangelism, but most importantly, partner evangelism. because the story that you're trying to tell together is ideally one of mutual value. And if you pick the right partners, where recommending Apollo to their customer base is actually the thing that'll make them look good, then ultimately you don't have to ask them to do anything because they'll want to do it themselves.
This is where I see actually forward-thinking companies going. Like everyone's talking about AI killing the BDR role. What's happening with AI is going to kill the BDR role. I actually think this affiliate partner work stream, go to network, nearbound stuff is actually putting more jeopardy on the BDR teams, which it sounds like Apollo's kind of been upfront in trying to push them out to pure AEs, et cetera.
Well, no, we love SDRs. We're a tool designed for SDRs, right? We're the ultimate prospecting tool. But what I do think is going to happen is there's going to be a reset. And this isn't my knowledge. I was talking to Saad Khan a while back, who's on our advisory board. And he said, awesome. As an SDR manager, I look forward to all these AE tools. And it's not going to replace AI tools. And it's not going to replace the SDR, but there will be resetting where a team of 20 becomes a team of 10 or even a team of 5 because there are aspects of their work they no longer need to do. Prospecting. Find me an SDR who loves prospecting. They love doing a ton of research on accounts. Maybe you'll find one, but they probably love it because of the results they get, not the task itself. So in the future, tools like Apollo will completely eliminate or almost entirely eliminate the task of prospecting. And other aspects of it, we had one person on our team at Apollo, Casey, he used our tool. We call it Auto SDR. And he booked 1,000 meetings in a quarter alone. And 40% of those were with named accounts. So, I actually think that the SDR manager is probably pretty excited for some of these new AI tools because it's so hard to be an SDR. It's always going to be hard to be an SDR because you're one of the lower ranked people. So they're going to push you really hard. They're going to give you a quota that not everyone can attain so they can maintain a high level of rigor within that team. But there's going to be a resetting. These teams are going to shrink in size. They are also partially being replaced by the nearbound partnership type stuff we see, especially within somewhat cliquey industries like B2B SaaS. But I actually think that won't replace SDRs either. It'll just bring about a new type of highly achieving SDR who encompasses some of the tools of social selling, relationship selling, partnership selling. We're running an experiment next quarter under Zoe Hartsfield's team where we're going to try and see what would happen if either Zoe or a consultant operated in what she's calling a community development rep. So what would happen if we took an SDR and we said, hey, we want you to focus on the follow-up from events. Anyone anywhere in the company who says, they're not an AE and they get a demo request, they pass it to that community development rep. We work with influencers to get warm intros. We work with affiliate partners to get warm intros. So ultimately, I don't think the role of SDR is going to vanish, but it is going to change. The teams will probably be a little smaller and they'll be more efficient. And that's why accessibility to these AI tools is so important, because we don't want to create a world where you need to be venture backed in order to have a team that performs twice as well as someone else. And that's why Apollo, we raised this 100 million, we're the first sales tech unicorn of the year because, we're trying to create a future where AI doesn't entrench power further. It's accessible to everyone and anyone can set it up. In some cases, you can use light AI automation within the Apollo platform entirely for free.
Wow. To a lot of things that you said, and I mean that in a good way. There's not a lot of companies out there that I think are so forward thinking in the way that they are utilizing AI, in the way that they are running experiments, in the way they're looking at partners versus communities. We hear everyone say nearbound, we know go to network works. I mean, no shit, go to network works. But it's not as simple as, hey, everyone go find your friends and connect us to people who know them. That is not a strategy. When you talk about utilizing your advisors, your evangelists, you said something that there's a couple things I want to double click on, but you were very clear in saying none of these are paid ads. And there's a lot of back and forth on LinkedIn, and I'll upset some people here, and that's okay, about whether it's okay to be paid to speak for a company, to be a brand ambassador. In fact, Zoe Hartsfield made a very direct post on LinkedIn about the fact that, like, hey, like, this is happening. I do it, meaning her. Suck it up. If you don't like it, too bad, so sad. And I don't necessarily disagree with her, right? I think that being paid to be a brand ambassador or brand evangelist has its place. If you use the product, if you can speak to the value of the product, if you are within the ICP and your community, your followers are in the ICP, is very different, is not going out there and paying people. And there's a lot of speculation with a lot of the stuff back and forth between Apollo and ZoomInfo that you've bought this army to go out there and post for you, but you deliberately said you're not paying them. So with that, what have you done to make people so passionate about Apollo? Because what I've seen, it's not, oh, hey, Apollo's great. It's like, holy shit, like, we are really going to come to the defense or the promotion of Apollo much more than any other brand I've seen out there.
So I am so glad that you asked this question, because it's one of those things that I've tried to nuance in LinkedIn posts to explain, because we do pay some people some things, but there's a nuance to it. And the fact of the matter is, like, my philosophy of marketing is about first understanding what are the spaces that hold influence. And then you want to deploy your voice to those spaces. Everyone's like, how do you determine the places that hold influence? It's really simple. Find your customers, your best customers, your prospective customers, close one, close lost, and just ask them, what podcasts do you listen to? What people do you follow on social media? What events are you attending? What blogs do you listen to? Who do you respect the most in your space? You can kind of power map out this idea of what's influencing people. The next step for me was to take that list and cross-reference it with our customers. Oh, okay. Here's a person, who loves us, who's a customer, and they're an influencer. All right, let's reach out to them and see what happens here. So at that point, you have like multiple different groups. So I want to split into 3 groups. So you have your influencers, people who's basically they make a living off taking paid contracts and advocating for projects. Then you have your kind of members of your sales community. And then you have your customer advisory board. And I would add a 4th level there, that you just have your organic evangelism. Whenever someone provides a moment of organic evangelism, that should be a red flag to your entire marketing and customer marketing team. Who is this person? Why did they evangelize for us? How do we get them to evangelize for us again? And the first step, and probably the most significant step I took day one when I joined Apollo, was anyone who got a positive mention of Apollo anywhere got a really nice response from us. And we reached out and we asked them why, and we asked them how we could support them. And that's incredibly powerful. Like, imagine
simple thing though, right? Simple.
Yeah, it's so simple. But like, imagine if you were like, I am in love. I love this person. And they just didn't reply to you at all. Like, how many more times are you going to go to that mountaintop to shout it until you feel like isolated and hurt and rejected, right? So that was the first step, replying to all those people. We did that with 0 spend. The second step was we built a customer advisory board. Who are the people amongst our customer base that can advocate for us the most, or give us the best product feedback, or hold the keys to the largest potential upsell? Okay, how do we reach out to them? How do we honor them? How do we provide value to them, right? That's another group, completely unpaid. They advocate a lot for us because they know we'll be there for them. We'll prioritize CS requests, which we're totally overwhelmed with as a company. They will, we'll help them recruit someone. We'll feature them from our company page. We'll help them build their brand, things like that. And then we get to the level of, go ahead, Dale.
No. I'm like super interested in this because the challenge, I've done this with a lot of technologies I like, and you're right. You send a note and all of a sudden it's like crickets, and it's like, well, okay, I won't do that again. So I'm super excited that you guys are doing that for people that are advocating for you guys that you guys haven't even asked to advocate for you.
Ever feel like keeping your CRM updated with call notes is a nightmare? You're not alone. Most sales leaders would rate their CRM hygiene a 4 out of 10. Badly maintained CRMs lead to inaccurate data, missed opportunities, and a messy sales pipeline. Not ideal, right? Introducing Attention, your sales rep's personal Iron Man suit. It transforms CRM upkeep, automating it with AI, and freeing your reps to sell, not enter data. Attention fills your CRM with a single click, drafts custom follow-ups, and gives real-time assistance. Isn't it time your CRM worked for you? Ready to upgrade your sales? Visit www.attention.tech.
Yeah, so it's really fun, and then like that often becomes something even cooler. I can actually should we risk a screen share right now?
Wow.
Yeah. We have editors. Go ahead.
All right. So this is our wall of love, and this is 2 days ago. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. We're looking the last week. These are all like incredible bits of advocacy. So we have someone go through whenever anyone mentions anything positive about Apollo anywhere, we reach out to them. We ask if we can get their permission to use it, to put it on the wall. Then our content team or our product team reaches out further. We dive deeper with these folks. Some of these folks are advisors. Some of these folks are cab members. Most of them are just regular people who love Apollo. Basically, the idea is like when you find someone like that, that's truly precious. That is so much better than anything else, having someone really organically advocate for you. So just cherish those people. Okay, now we get into the controversy, the Zoom Info versus Apollo Clint post controversy. One thing I will note is that whenever there's these like Zoom Info versus Apollo battles, it's just an epic day for our demo
I can't imagine.
Yeah, like honestly, it's the people who say really negative things about Apollo, and then our customers come to our defense. Those are the ones that drive the most eyeballs to our website, and those convert into real revenue. But basically, when it comes to working with influencers, I'm not saying we don't pay anyone. And that post you're referring to is really uncomfortable for me because I decided to message the poster and try and explain. And then in real time, I'm seeing these edits, and I'm like, it says, hey, Apollo doesn't pay anyone. I'm like, well, that's not accurate. We do pay people. And it's like, okay. And it kept getting clarified. It was crazy. But basically, like the reality of is, if you're going to work with only the upper echelon of influencers, they have the power. They choose who they want to work with. And especially not everyone, but the upper echelon do. So when you reach out to them, it's not like, hey, how can I get you to post about Apollo? It's, hey, what are your goals? What do you want? What is your business? What's the next step for your business? How can Apollo support you holistically for your business? We look at some of these partners, like look at Alexine and Women Sales Pros. Like at Chili Piper, I was the first ever sponsor of that community. And we built it in a way that they could get more revenue from it. And then I come back at Apollo, 7 out of the 8 women on our leadership team are, or exec managers on our sales leadership team are women. That's a community that women in sales is going to want to partner with. So I'm like, what's your fee? And, she gives me a fee. It's a monthly retainer. And then we build a collaboration around an idea. How do we evangelize for the idea that companies are successful when there are more women in positions of sales leadership? All right, great. Now, I'm not going to tell Alexine to post about that, but she will post about that because it benefits her and it benefits us, and she wants us to renew. So basically, like when you work with a lot of these partners, I never pay them per post. I never say, hey, you have to post X times within a month. I say, let's build a collaboration off providing value to each other. I'll provide value to you. You'll provide value to me. And then the offshoot of that is them posting. But it's almost like that metaphor with the Jell-O, right? If you squeeze too tight, it's going to go right through your fingers. Working with influencers, I find, is best when you ask them what their goals are, and then you try and help them. And we're a large company with a large brand. We can help folks.
It sounds like every sales process that you run, like what's the value you're going to deliver for both sides? Like a relationship or a contract or however you want to do it, there's value on both sides. So what is the value that you're delivering? What's the value the value they're delivering hopefully is the same as what you guys are delivering. I'm curious, let's switch it up a little bit. What's the best? So we have a lot of startup people that watch the podcast. How can Apollo help these startup companies? How can they help them not only first execute a process for data and outreach, et cetera, but then grow with Apollo as they get bigger?
Oh, you're going to ask me a product related question? You realize I'm a soft skills marketer, right?
But your title has so much all around it. So I'm super curious how you guys position that.
Yeah. So there's this kind of confluence happening in sales tech where it's so hard to jump between so many tools, and there's so many options out there that it can be overwhelming and it can be exhausting, especially for RevOps folks. Like, look at the inbound side. I'll take an example outside of Apollo. You have an inbound funnel. You have your form. You maybe have like a Chili Piper routing thing. Then you have a chat bot. Maybe you have like a lean data lead routing solution. A lot of companies are building out their lead routing rules in 4 different tools. So you change one thing and you have to change it 4 times. And like, that is exhausting. It's not sustainable. And there's a consolidation happening. So I do believe there's a consolidation happening. But ultimately, like, the last 10 years of SaaS has been like all of these amazing tools that didn't exist before. Call recording, what Gong has done, and Chorus is just spectacular. It's amazing. Inbound lead routing, Chili Piper, what they've done is incredible. Like, you have these AI automated plays tools, like when someone changes jobs, like a user gems type function. The vision of Apollo is that you should be able to have all these tools. Like, it's been a decade since they first came out. They're no longer revelations. We are working on getting complete parity with best in class. Like, Apollo's call recorder is not as good as Gong right now. But if you're like a bootstrapped founder or an early,
you can't afford Gong.
You can't. Like, but you need that. You need conversational intelligence, even if you're a one-person founder starting a company, so that you can get product insights from these calls. You need to record them. So the
Adam
vision
needs
behind
all the
Apollo.
help he can get. So Adam needs all the help he can get.
I mean, that's why I record every call.
So the vision with Apollo is to basically give people a platform that allows them to have access to all of these best-in-class tools in a way that's accessible. It's not overly expensive, and then to grow with you. I will admit, we have some work to do to grow into the enterprise for sure. We have some great clients out there, but we're primarily an SMB and mid-market tool for now, expanding into the enterprise. They're kind of begging us to come up there, kind of like HubSpot's model. But
I like the model.
Basically what Apollo will enable you to do is turn go-to-market into something that normally takes weeks or months and do it in days, right? We can look at your CRM and then identify all the contacts that should be in there that aren't. We can clean all that data for you. We can enrich all your data for you. We can set up sequences. You can use the LinkedIn Chrome extension to pull someone from LinkedIn and drop them into a sequence. We can use AI to help you write your emails, helping people all around the world with language barriers and things like that. And that AI model is developing really fast. You can record your calls. You can score leads. And it's basically there's an appetite in the market for a platform like this that is accessible, that we're going to charge as little as possible versus as much as possible for it. And a lot of founders want to grow with that. So that's part of the reason there's so much love for Apollo, because this stuff, otherwise they have to cobble together a 6-7 figure tech stack for some of this stuff. And with Apollo, they can get it and they can use it and they can use it fast. So I would say the primary benefit is that you get access to all of these tools, maybe not best in class for call recording yet, but we're coming for that fast. 70% of our resources go to engineers.
Here's something.
I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, totally.
Dale's going to have to read it back because he's a little slow, but I think I think it answered it. But here's something I love about you. Like, you are so real and so raw. Like, you're not coming on here being like, we have the best data, the best sequencer, the best call recording, the best lead score. Like, you're very candid about, listen, like, this is good, this is great, this is going to be great, and this is why and where we're investing. And you don't see that in a lot of people. And I think that to me is also why people gravitate towards your brand, is the transparency of, this is where we're really good. This is where we're good and going to be really good. And we're not going to bullshit you. We're not going to tell you that we're phenomenal at everything, but we can help you with everything. And you, as a startup founder, a bootstrap founder, you don't need Gong right now. Listen, I have a lot of love for Gong.
Me too.
But it's overkill for a lot of people. So why go pay for something that you don't necessarily need right now? I got a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I do think we have the best data. We got the best data. And we got a lot of the other best stuff too. I think if you're like a massive enterprise using engagement, there's probably some work we can do on preparing. Like, I ask this question a lot of time when I'm talking to ZoomInfo customers. I say, does ZoomInfo spark joy? And they'll be like, no. But I asked someone recently about this, someone at Red Hat, about outreach. I was like, does outreach spark joy? And they're like, yes, it sparks joy.
Yeah.
And like the reality of it is there's a different tool that's good for many different circumstances. We're probably just of the belief that you should probably start off with something like HubSpot and Apollo.
Sure.
And then you can either become an expert in that and expand into other areas, or diversify your tools. But like, if you're going to buy these expensive tools, you got to make sure you have the enablement in place to use all the bells and whistles. Apollo has all the bells and whistles, but it's just not going to cost you an arm and a leg for it. And we'll be there to grow with you as we go. Last thing here, I know I'm rambling, but I think another reason people like Apollo is because the rate of technological development is so fast, right?
Yes.
Like they know we're going to grow alongside them and deploy new stuff, deploy new features, make our tool better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I do think the evolution of sales tech, or tech in general, is just changing every month, every 3 months, every 6 months. Like we're always trying to catch up.
I mean, you ask me every day, how the fuck do I log into HubSpot? So like,
that is true. That's true. I do have my ops guy that helps me out all the time. Awesome. So part of our community is all about giving back. We give more than we receive. And so you've been generous to offer something up. So let's let the audience know, Dan.
Yeah. So I'll preface this with some, Cialdini's principles of persuasion. You need authority, right? So since I joined Apollo, when I joined, we were adding about 800 followers per month. We're adding an average on our LinkedIn company page. We're adding an average of around 6,000 right now.
wow.
You look across the last year, Gong has grown more than us. Outreach is basically tied for us because last week they randomly added 3,000 followers. I track these things super granularly. But basically, we've passed all of our competitors in terms of growth. We've grown from 40,000 organic impressions on the company page per month to around 600,000. Then we started tracking user-generated content, employee evangelism, executive evangelism. The total number per month, just organic impressions, just on LinkedIn for Apollo in 1 month is, it varies between 2.5 and 3.5 million. When it was 40,000 before.
It's crazy.
So it's like, I'm like a niche within a niche, but I do think, at Chili Piper, when I started, we were getting about 5,000 impressions per month. And then we were one of LinkedIn's top startups. Apollo wasn't eligible for LinkedIn's top startups this year because we're over 6 years old. But I think we might have been up there. I know because in LinkedIn, you can set the competitors. So I set all the people at the top of LinkedIn's top startup list as our competitors because I want to, compete with the best. And we're doing pretty well. Yeah, so the offer is I'll sit down with you. I can't guarantee that we'll get gains for it, but I'll audit your LinkedIn for the last month. We can take an hour-long session, and then I'll help you build out a content calendar for a week. And I can't guarantee it, but there's a good chance that content will outperform the previous week's content. I've done this a few times now at different companies, and I'm excited to provide value to your audience however I can. I know I'm learning a lot just chatting with you all, so whatever I can do.
I love it. This is we get a lot of really good offers. We're very blessed that our guests give back. This might take the cake. I think we're gonna have to do like once we hit 30, Dale, we're gonna have to do like a recap of everything we've given back to the audience. This is right up there. We normally go right into rapid fire, but I do have one question before we do rapid fire that I would love to know. You did great things at Chili Piper, right? I followed your journey there. Big fan of a lot of the folks over there. You could have gone to a number of places when you left. Top 3 things that made you say, Apollo's where I'm going next.
Well, David Malpass, the SVP of marketing, did a really incredible job of recruiting me in like a kind of high stakes thing. I think I reached out to Apollo and 3 days later got an offer.
Wow.
But I reached out to Apollo while I was in Morocco, working with Chili Piper. And then there was a large layoff like a week later.
Yeah.
And I have so much respect for the people at Chili Piper. But, I'm trying to find a way to say this. In the most recent downturn, a lot of companies didn't get the expansion that they wanted because there were layoffs across the industry, right?
Yeah.
But I'm of the belief that there's also a consolidation coming. So when a tool like Apollo or a tool like Chili Piper maybe doesn't grow within an account as fast as it could, even though they have like incredible CSAT, incredible NPS, really high net revenue retention, there's like a broader piece there. Like I personally got really jealous of Qualified. Like while I was at Apollo, I was chomping at the bit to start marketing against Qualified, right? Because I believe the future of that inbound lead conversion will be your chat, your form router, your booking link. It's all the same set of rules, right? Your like lean data type lead distribution software. It's the same thing. So it's like when I worked at Apollo, I was like, where can I find a company? People say sales is marketing's best friend, but I actually think it's product. Where can I find a company that's just obsessed with product? That they have an engineer as the CEO, that they have very little go-to-market function. They have a PLG motion, which enables them to invest more into product because they have to spend less time on GTM. And that was Apollo. They were the company that was building the most, the fastest. I am of the belief of the concept of a personal customer advisory board. So I have a group of about 8 mentors I reach out to at every major step in my path. They all were like, go join Apollo, do it. And it was also really fun to be at a company that maybe hadn't done the best job at marketing before I arrived. Lots of low-hanging fruit with building the best product always being the top priority. Because no matter how good your marketing is, at the end of the day, if you don't have the best product, eventually that marketing will fade or it'll be exposed. And I do believe Chili Piper had the best product while I was there. But I think there's a bigger slice of the cake at Apollo, and I was really excited. And then so the first reason is product focus. The second reason was I wanted a badass boss who could be a mentor. David Malpass, bunch of really successful exits at Autodesk, at Envision, all over the place. And then the third factor was that when I reached out to them, I'd also at this point I had 5 consulting gigs set up. They convinced me that before entering the consulting route, it's the best opportunity for me to continue to learn at a high pace at a company that's large enough. And they also told me I could hire some of my old team back. So that was pretty exciting. It was like I was heartbroken when I left Chili Piper because I like, Medjoli, our social media manager at Apollo, she's like my arm. Like I can't function without her. So I had a good hunch that if I joined a company like Apollo, they would reach out to me and want to work with me. And that did end up happening. So I hired two of my former employees and we were just able to start a lot faster. So those are the 3 reasons. But on top of it, there's an umbrella where it's like, I want to be at a company where I can win.
Love it.
And that's been happening.
All right, let's go rapid fire. These questions have to be answered in 10 words or less, or Dale hits the button and cuts you off. All right, here we go. What song would best describe your revenue strategy?
Paparazzi. The first half of it is the Lady Gaga version, and the second half of it is the Kim Dracula version, which is like, okay.
I love it, though.
If you had a crystal ball, what's one revenue trend or strategy you predict will take center stage in the next 12 to 18 months? So from trend to like just regular strategy.
I'd say community functioning is still a trend. More people will hire community marketing operations.
Totally.
What is one lesser known tactic that you use that's actually made a surprising difference in the way you drive revenue?
Not stuff that I've mentioned before. Those don't count in my 10 words. This is small, but soliciting ideas from those around you. Customers, advisors, people in sales, people in product.
Love that. That's great.
Absolutely.
That's great. Last one. Earlier in the show, you said you were going to lead the partner group. It's tomorrow morning. You grab a cup of coffee, tea, whatever your vice is. What's the first thing you're doing as the head of partnership?
I'm calling Jennifer Rima and congratulating her on her promotion to SVP of partnership.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
And then I'm going to ask her how she does it all.
I love it. Daniel,
awesome.
Dan, thanks so much for joining us, man. Where can people find you? What's the best way to get in touch with you? Let's blow up your connections as if you need that.
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. The URL is LinkedIn/great marketing. I snagged that one pretty early.
Nice.
Yeah. At LinkedIn/IN/great marketing. Cool. That's it. Yeah. That's where they can find me. And, one person I'm excited to chat with, my top takeaway, if anyone is here now and they're like, what's the last bit of knowledge? It's just, it's to really listen to your customers. And when there's a first moment of advocacy, it might seem like something small. Someone says, oh, I like Apollo, but that's the spark that leads to someone advocating for you 10, 50, 100 times. So your rate of return advocacy, those who advocate once, who advocate multiple times, that is where you want to focus your effort. Everything else can be tossed aside. Happy customers elevate their voice. That is, I think, the future of marketing. Also, the spooky stuff behind is because Halloween.
I love it. Dan, thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Cheers.